That's some bull right there.
Few minutes aren't going to make a difference.
What up, everyone? How you doing today?
Hey, guys.
I am Ron.
And I'm Angela.
And this is
Chatter of Opinion.
Now, today we are talking blended families and possible issues with blended families.
Yes. And there's a few.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, I did some research, right? And my research from stepfamily.org. Stepfamily.org. Didn't even know there was a such thing. But the research says that the average marriage in the United States lasts about 7 years. The average marriage lasts about 7 years. So my parents been married for what? 52 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Is it 52?
52,
Okay.
I want to say. So back in the days, it was more important to stay together because the family dynamic was a little different. However, nowadays, 7 years is the average marriage, and 75% of those individuals get remarried. Now, in taking that into consideration, the remarrieds, a lot of times individuals have children.
They come into the new relationship with children.
Yes,
Yeah.
they come into the new relationship
Sometimes
with
both
children.
come in with children, right?
Yes. So in that case, the blended family normally starts. They start from there. So what we did was we dug into the crate and tried to figure out what are some issues that you might face when it comes to being involved in a blended family.
Well, shall we start with the first?
Let's do it.
All right. I say discipline. I think that's normally a major one.
Okay.
Because it can cause rifts in the relationship itself. Because when it comes to kids, putting your hands on children, that could be an issue.
Okay, but I see that. But when it comes to the discipline, it doesn't normally have to be putting your hands on someone.
I hear you. But I think from the jump, guidelines need to be established. Like from the jump. Like you need to help me understand where is my position with your child and what are my parameters with discipline.
Whoop them.
Stop.
I'm just saying. Beat them. No, but I understand that too. When you get into a relationship with someone and then you have a blended family, discipline is one of the major issues when it comes to the relationship, because that could make or break. I was used to disciplining my children a certain way, and then we got into a relationship. You might not discipline your children the way that I discipline my children.
Yeah, right. That person may be a little harder maybe than what you're used to. Or you may be like, no, you need to be the adult and put your foot down, and you're telling them you need to be more aggressive because they're going to run all over you.
And that might be it. But then again, aggressive in your mind might just be totally different than aggressive when it comes to me. So that might form an issue because my way of discipline might be a spanking, or might be what do you call it?
Taking
restriction.
Taking some away, restricting them to go out with their friends. But again, that's the type of things I think the different scenarios need to be brought up. Different scenarios. So, hey, what if this, so that we can the detail of what can be done or not.
Yeah, I agree. But however, sometimes when you talk about it and then it actually happens in real life, boy, sometimes it could get you.
I think a big part of that is also trusting your partner. Right?
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, to a point, I trusted you enough to marry you and bring my family into this home. So to a point, I trust you until you break that trust, or maybe you make a decision and I don't quite agree with the decision. So then maybe after, you still need to address, hey, what you did, I don't quite agree with. Please don't do that again. Or this is the way I would have liked you to handle it, because again, it's all in the moment, right?
Right.
And so if you know that that your partner didn't intend to do this or that, then you need to clarify.
Or I think it's all about knowing your partner. You know what I mean? How far they will go. You know that if you leave and you leave your child with me, I'm not going to strangle your kid while you're gone, no matter what the situation is. And the communication between the two of us should be on point, if you can understand that.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, because sometimes, like I said, you grew up in a certain way that you want to discipline somebody's child the way that you discipline your child, and it might not be ideal on the way, or it might not be a part of your views, if you can understand that. So
Right, but that's where the conversation comes in.
right, just knowing your
Setting-
partner, knowing, hey, what are my parameters? What can I do in the place of you if your child acts up?
Yes.
All right. What's next?
Um,
Debt brought
yeah,
into the relationship,
meaning child support.
child support, or any type of debt when it comes to a blended family. When you bring a certain amount of debt into your new relationship,
Okay.
that could affect the other partner, your partner, your new partner. Not
Okay.
just child support, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
was
saying
thinking
debt
more
in general.
just child support, but debt just from a prior relationship,
Yeah,
or
let's say I was in a marriage before and then I got out of that marriage, but then now I'm coming into this blended family, right?
Mhm.
But then I'm unable to do certain things because I still owe from
Yeah.
the last relationship. You see what I'm saying? That could be an issue because now I'm blending and it's not just yours and mine, sometimes it's ours.
So in my mind, I was thinking strictly child support, and then what comes with that is like, say if it's a person who owes child support, or say if it's even back child support.
Right.
Hey, based on us combining finances, we have to take into consideration that I get so much garnished from my check for child support,
And that's going out.
and that's going out.
Right.
Yeah.
So that can be an issue because now I owe $50,000 in child support, and all of a sudden that boils down or comes into our relationship when it comes to financial planning. The same thing with information. I mean, child support coming in.
Yeah.
Like you get child support from the other
Yeah.
side, no matter
Say
if
it's
it's the
like-
mom or the dad.
Correct. Say it's like $600. If we combine finances,
Mhm.
is that amount included in the separation of the
I
finances,
don't know
or is it
because
like no, because that's strictly for the kid? But then you get into details. Well, if it's strictly for the kid, then what? You're going to buy them their own groceries. You're going to do
see
this.
that right
gets
there is
too
a
petty.
sticky, yeah, it's a sticky
Yeah.
subject because let's say I am getting $300 or $400 and it's supposed to go to the child, but then the child does everything that we do and I'm footing the bill for it,
Right.
but I'm not reaping the benefits of getting the child support. However, that's also a sticky subject because does child support money necessarily go strictly for your child, or does it go towards the cost of living towards your household?
Right.
You
I
see what I'm
agree.
saying? So that could be difficult. But relationships in general, when you come into another relationship and you don't know the financial aspects of what you're taking in or what you're gaining, that can be an issue. The next one is getting along with the step parent or the co-parent.
Oh, this to me is probably the biggest part.
Okay, speak on it.
It is, because there's just so much drama sometimes from the other person that they could, well, could be ugly just to be ugly, or they still care for you, or whoever's getting into this relationship. So they're just trying to keep or cause a rift.
Okay.
Like they just don't want you to be happy, and it's not about the kid.
I would agree with that in some cases where individuals don't want to see you succeed. So then they cause a whole bunch of issues when it comes to your relationship.
Right.
It's not about the kid. It's about each other. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You left me for this. Now you're living
Yes.
better, or
Yes.
you this, that, and the other. So it's kind of on the competition level. On top of that, you have the children. The kids
Mhm.
might not care for you. Just because we blend in families don't mean that the kids care. You ain't my mom or you ain't my
Yeah.
dad, you see that all the time
I
where,
totally agree with that.
right. Or on one side or the other, the kid is being coached by the parent to
Yeah.
act a fool. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
or to treat the other new
Yeah, step parent
person
or
as just ugly, to be just catty with them or disrespectful or whatever. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, uh, don't think just because you get into a blended family that everyone's going to get along. It's
Right.
not just
That's
the
true.
co-parenting. Sometimes it's the kids as well. The kids don't get along. And then if you look at about it, there are a lot of issues when you do bring them in, and you talk about disciplining, and you're talking about cutting funds. The two that we've already talked about. Sometimes they're not used to that, so they think the reason why they can't do something is because of the new individual that comes into their lives.
Yeah, that's true.
So another one would be sibling rivalry. Kids don't get along with each other.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you have kids. I got kids, but they can't stand each other.
Or say if they're like both teenagers and at the teenage years they can be yeah
Yeah,
difficult, I
they
guess is a good word.
probably
But
could
also,
be.
what if one's way older and he's 3 or whatever and he's just this annoying little kid or whatever, right? And they're teenagers and already don't want to deal with adults, much less
Right.
a young kid. So yeah,
And the way I say it
that's a good one.
is the competition. Everyone's in competition now. So what happens when the kids say, okay, you did this for this person, or you got this person some new shoes, but you didn't give me no new shoes, or you always
Mhm.
doing something for this kid and not doing something for me, and I'm your child. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That could
that's another
cause
part
an
too,
issue.
is really consciously treating everyone the same, like the fairness.
But I get that, and that'll be in our advice section. But my thing is that could be a little difficult if I'm a single parent and I've been dealing with my kid for forever.
Yeah, you kind of know.
Right,
Yeah.
and you kind of want to cater towards your child versus someone else's
Yeah.
child, because you can see the competition and you can see your child actually giving you the stink face because you're paying more attention to their children.
I think what also would be difficult is, say someone comes in with the perfect child. They're a
Oh.
good school student and they are respectful and they do their chores, and then you have the other one who's maybe complete opposite.
Mm,
That would be hard.
that's the child that you always say is perfect. My kid is perfect, knowing damn well your kid ain't perfect.
I'm just saying that, but there's a
Yeah.
scenario, because then when you do stuff or you give stuff, that can cause a rift too. Well, you're not able to go out because I'm sorry, you didn't even show up to school 3 times this week or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But yet the other kid who was like the angel gets to do whatever, but that can still cause a lot of
Oh yeah, because
issues.
like I said, it's a competition or a fairness. It'll be hard to be fair. You know what I mean? I understand people try to be fair, but I think it's hard to be fair when it comes to the family dynamic, especially when it comes to a blended family and you're used to doing things your way. You know what I mean? Now you
Yeah,
have to think about the other side of the house as well.
right.
All right. Another one is coping with sacrifice. Like I said, our family, we're used to going out. We'll do like McDonald's every Friday or 3 times a week because I can't cook this, that, and the other.
Mm,
Then all of a sudden I can't do that because now we have more mouths to feed in the house.
yeah.
Or we're used to going to the movies, like daddy's daughter
Or
date night or something like that.
or you fry everything before you got with me,
Oh, I used to
and
fry everything. What up here in Rock? Tell her we used to fry everything. Chicken nuggets.
everything. Oh my God. But now,
Chicken nuggets,
now what do you
burrito.
do?
We have to cook it on the stove because you broke my fryer
You,
on
this
purpose.
will always be an issue with us.
On purpose.
I did not break it on purpose.
Yeah, you did.
But I'm glad I did break it,
No, that
because
fryer
you're
was the
healthier
bomb.
now.
That fryer.
Now you're gonna live forever.
My cholesterol's still high.
That's your fault.
I'm just saying. But yeah. But yeah, coping with sacrifice could be an issue because individuals are used to a certain pattern. They're used to doing certain
Yeah.
things on maybe a certain date. But when you blend a family, maybe that shows a little bit of favoritism. So you got to kind of.
I also have to bring up too, Zaylin was fine with generic cereal till this guy and Miss Henrock come with all the name brand
stuff.
cereal, and now Zaylin is bougie and won't even touch the
Wasn't
stuff.
nobody trying to eat no Cocoa Rouge. We're just saying we're trying to eat Cocoa Puffs.
He didn't know better,
I'm
and
just-
he ate it.
And there was nothing wrong with that. It's just that once again, when it comes to
Preferences.
their preferences or sacrifice, and we weren't trying to
Yeah.
sacrifice Cocoa Puffs for no Cocoa
Or even
Roos.
simple as Prego and Ragu. They
Oh, we
used
eat
Ragu. And
Ragu. We don't mess with no Prego. We was like, man, this stuff tastes diet. No, we want the real sugar.
yeah.
So
I know it definitely takes some adjustment when you combine families.
yeah. Jasmine says, "Oh no, we can't do off-brand over here either."
Oh, that
Mine
she's
can't
a
even eat off-brand
she's a
mac and cheese,
tribble.
right? She said they can't even eat off-brand mac and cheese.
Oh.
Nah. You got to have the real deal Holyfield. You can't be messing with no off-brand
Then
stuff.
you can't say that you were truly broke.
Oh,
No,
once
you
again,
can't.
it
You
went back to
can't say it.
sacrifice. We'll sacrifice something else for some name brands. You know what I mean? But yeah, that might be an issue. Then Hennessy said, right? Yeah, we came into that on a serious note with some knockoff brands. We had to change that immediately.
Y'all changed my child.
Yes. So some of the some advice that we might be able to give when
Right.
it comes to blending
Blended
families. What would
families.
you say would be one of the first things that you want to give advice for?
Well, I'm big at the communication from the jump.
Okay.
You set the boundaries and the guidelines, maybe give scenarios of what could happen or situations that maybe even you've heard of. So like, hey, I had a friend who went through this. How would you like me to handle that? Or how would you handle that? Or whatever. I think just a lot of communication is required.
Right. I think know the rules of the game. You know what I mean? That communication is very important, especially when you're dealing with not only someone else's child, but you're also dealing with someone else's mom or their dad. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
it comes to a blended family. So you got to know where to fit in. If the situation comes up and it doesn't affect you at all, then stay out of the situation and trust in your partner to let them handle it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's another thing is know your place.
Mm-hmm.
That may seem a little harsh, but sometimes you have to know when to butt in, and sometimes you have to know when to, you know what, this is a biological kid parent situation,
Yes.
or even with the co-parent decision situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to back off, let them make the decision.
Right.
And just be here to support my partner when and if they need me.
Right.
Right.
Crystal says, I would say discipline is one of the biggest issues of a blended family, especially if both grew up differently. But compromise and communication is key. And I would agree with you on that.
Yeah. Molly says homemade is the way to go. Miss Homemaker over here, she puts us all to shame. Probably makes like French toast and fresh green chili and every day.
Okay. Another piece of advice I say is establish rules from the start. You got to establish rules, and not rules for just your kids, but household rules for everyone. This is how it's going to be. And that communication comes from between you and I to say, okay, this is what I think about this. This is what you think. Let's come to an agreement, and then we're going to establish rules and put these rules out for everyone.
Yes.
It becomes sticky when you have certain rules for one child, but not the same rules for another child.
That's another podcast for another day, but yes, I agree.
Yeah, so you just have to be consistent throughout, but those rules have to be established from the giddy up.
And together.
Yes, I would agree with that. Get everyone involved. You know what I mean? Don't start doing stuff like going bowling and I'm taking his kid or her kid. Try to get everyone involved. Now, it's a sticky situation because some of these kids don't want to be involved with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at a certain age, they're like, no, I don't want to go.
Yeah, some of these kids do not care to hang out. And then you end up in the streets.
And then you feel like it's
somebody.
forced too.
Yeah, or if
it's awkward.
Let's say the kid that doesn't want to go stays at home all the time, but then you taking out the kid that does want to go, it can cause some issues because it looks like you're
now
always
it seems
hanging
like
out with them.
favoring that kid.
Yeah, especially when you go out some places and when you come home or on the way home, you get
we
food,
went to eat.
Yeah, or you were at the store and you see some shoes or some clothes and stuff like that. So it could be a little sticky.
But on the other end, do you you don't want to force the kid to go neither, because then they're like a wet blanket, or they're not having fun, or they're not making it fun for everyone else. But then you also don't want to keep not having them go, because you want to include them, and you
Oh.
want to eventually, hopefully, build that relationship.
Here's what I think. I think you don't force a child over a certain age to do anything.
I agree.
Because once they become a party pooper, they can ruin it for everyone. And I don't
Mhm.
have time to be trying to console somebody or trying to make them have fun so they
Yeah.
won't ruin it for folks. But you do invite. Hey, we're going
Yes.
here.
Do
If you
you
want
want
to
to go?
go,
Don't
so
force
be it.
them,
Right.
though,
So
at a
then,
certain age.
right. Because then after that, if they don't want to go, you had the choice to go. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Hennessy says, as long as we stop at Starbucks or get food, she going.
Hennessy's down for anything that has to do with food or drink.
And I agree. Hennessy don't care about the event, the activity. As long as you're
She
going
was
to
down
eat
for
before or
anything.
after,
Yep.
she was good to go. Little greedy girl. But yeah, don't force your child, especially over a certain age, when they become into themselves, or they just want to spend some time with themselves. Don't force the child to go and ruin it for everyone else. Have them make the decision, but make sure that you invite everyone to do what it is that you guys are intending to do.
Yes, totally agree.
Be as fair as possible. We already discussed that. You have to be as fair as
Mhm.
possible to everyone. You know what I mean? Don't show favoritism. Be consistent throughout.
But I think with that comes with talking to the kid too, like maybe talking scenarios with them. Like, hey, like I understand your stance, but if we do this so that there is no confusion, do you want us to invite you? Do you want to be included? Because we don't want to not include you. But if you're going to have the same answer and you're just not into it because whatever reason you're mad or whatever,
Mhm.
let's talk about it. Let's establish, maybe what you want to be included or not, or the whys, or let's establish that now so that there's no misunderstandings, hurt feelings,
Right.
miscommunication.
Period.
Yeah, just like talk with the kid and say, what is it that you want from us?
But the thing is, make
Sometimes they're like, to
sure,
leave me alone.
yeah, but make sure you talk to your child.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Talk to your child first, because there might be a lot of resentment towards the new person that comes in, depending on how the
Started.
divorce or
The
or
new
how the new
relationship started.
relationship or how the old relationship ended.
Ended. Totally.
Yeah, so you make sure you talk to your child and prepare them for what's going to happen and what's going on. Don't just throw them into the fire and say, "Hey, I met this girl. We're finna move in like tomorrow."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I met this guy. We're moving in tomorrow.
Yeah.
And just deal with the situation, especially if they have kids too, because
Totally.
that could be a lot.
Or all of a sudden, hey, this is so and so. We're getting married.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's not going to happen. When it comes to finances, some advice would be talk about the finances before even moving in together.
Another thing I think with finances, because as kids get older, and maybe as they're young too, but when kids start getting into sports or say dance or cheer, like that can get expensive. So I think those need to be put on the table too, because we're combining finances.
Mhm.
Hey, my kid has this, or I have them in a private school, or whatever. Finances does have a lot to do with it. And so when you're coming into a new relationship, all of that needs to be put out on the table, because
Yeah.
you don't want your kid to miss out just because before they were doing this, but now we can't.
Especially if you guys are not on the same playing field, because you have some people that have 2 or 3 kids versus
True.
a person
Mhm.
having 1 kid. So now I got to sacrifice everything that I had as a child, or I like to do, because they have 2 or 3 kids.
Mhm.
So the financial aspect has to
Is
be
important.
Yeah, it has to be talked about. Like, look, before we got together, this is what me and such and
Yes.
such were used
We're
to doing.
used to
So
doing,
how
yeah.
can we incorporate that into our financial situation, or
Yes.
can we afford
Can
to
we maintain it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Just to
agree.
make it fair.
Right.
But
But
financials
not to take it away from them just because now we're in this new circumstance.
Correct.
Yeah.
Don't take anything away from someone,
Right.
especially if they're used to it. That is one of the biggest ways to cause rifts within the family. If I'm used to doing something every week or every other week, and I can still afford to do it without showing
Mhm.
favoritism, this, that, and the other, then so be it. And there's some times where, let's say, in me and Hennessy, we have daddy-daughter date night, and we want to
Mhm.
continue that. I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, you take your son out, I'll take my
Right.
daughter out, or whatever. I'll take your son out, you
We
take my
did try to
daughter
do
out.
that
Yeah, and it's
until
just
Hennessy
fair.
tried to get crazy with it.
Boy, leave that girl alone. But anyway, yeah. So those are some of the
Let her tell it.
that's some of the advice that we would give as far as blended families. Just make sure the communication is straight. Make sure you establish rules from the start. And rules, I mean by household rules. Don't establish them just for one person. Make sure everyone is clear on what the rules are.
Mhm.
Get everyone involved. Make
Yeah.
sure that you don't leave any of your children out, no matter what is going on.
Yeah.
But if you have to leave them out for a certain reason, make sure that reason is clear on why they are
Yeah.
actually left out. And then be as fair as possible. Like I said, kids pay attention. Sometimes they're in competition.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't want to be in the household with this blended family because you are not their mom, you are not their dad.
Right.
They're missing out on the other side of the family. So you got to be as fair as possible to make them feel as safe as possible within your new relationship.
Very true. All good points.
Yes. Anything else that we can think about when it comes to blended families or issues?
I just think, like I said, communication's key. Be respectful of what was before and where we're trying to be now.
Right.
Compromise is key.
Correct.
And everything out of love.
Yeah, and just know the not just the person that you're with, but know their children as well, because there's a certain way that you probably have to talk to them or communicate with them.
Yeah.
Just period. You know what I mean? Just because you communicate with your child a certain way does not necessarily mean that their child is going to understand exactly what you're going through. So you just have to be more mindful that people grew up in a different atmosphere, and the communication that you might have with your child might not reach the person that you
Yeah.
have taken into your home.
Very true.
All right. Anything else that you can think of?
Not I.
All righty then. We appreciate you guys joining us. That was an episode of Chatter of Opinion entitled Issues with Blended Families.
Which is very, very common these days.
Right. If you are a part of a blended family and it has worked for you, I'm pretty sure you can understand the things that we have discussed today.
Yeah.
It is a very serious thing nowadays because a lot of people do have children. And like I said, the average marriage in the United States lasts 7 years. So
it's difficult, but doable.
It is doable, but it takes time and it takes patience. It takes you to stop, to get out of your own way and get to know one another, get to know their children before you make these decisions and you treat someone unfairly.
Totally agree.
All right. Most importantly, today is our anniversary.
I didn't know you were going to say that.
We got married on 4/20.
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yes.
Shoot, I dealt with this mother for 4 years.
You know.
But today is our anniversary for all those that had joined us for our wedding. And on top of that,
join us here.
Join us here for our podcast
and support us.
Yes, we have lasted 4 years. We got 3 more to go, according to
oh no, quit it. Yeah, you better act right.
Then we'll be at 7 years. But we really appreciate you guys for joining us for this this episode of our podcast.
Yes.
We will be on here every Thursday at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. With
new topics.
So we're on here, like I said before, on Facebook Live. We're also under Chatter of Opinion on YouTube Live if you can't make the Facebook Live. If you guys have any topics that you want us to cover, make sure you either send us a message, reach out, DM, or however you want to call it nowadays, and we'll try to make it into a podcast.
Yes.
Until next time, we really appreciate your support, and we're going to holler at y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Bye.